everybody, and thank you for tuning in to yet another interview with the Young Democrats of Georgia Black Caucus, where we interview your future leaders and current leaders. And today, I want to let you know you hear me say I'm a big fan of everybody, which I am because I kind of know everybody. But the person that we have today to speak with you is by far one of the most qualified people. And I'm gonna leave all my bias out of it, and we're just gonna go ahead and bring them in. Without further ado, I introduce to you Oscar. Yeah. What's happening, brother?
Hey, you know, having a nice night so far. Even better now. Thanks for the awesome introduction, Devontae. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. It's fitting, especially you Dapper Dan over there looking good, good suit. If I live tomorrow, I'd vote for you.
Appreciate that.
So, man, before we get too far into it, of course, I know who you are, but for anybody that may tune in or come across this interview, who are you?
Sure. So my name's Oscar Menjivar. I'm just a guy outside of the or from the south side of Atlanta, specifically Clayton County. Grew up in a little city called Morrow. That's where I'm running. My background's in law. I do have a JD from Emory. Have an undergraduate degree in political science, and my day job, I'm a cybersecurity and IT auditor.
See, and this is why I love doing these interviews because it's like no matter how much you feel like you know someone, you have a JD from Emory.
Yeah, that's right. I do.
All right, let's get back into the normal script. We're gonna touch on that one later. So
Cool.
when we're going ahead jumping into it, I want to ask you, why are you deciding to run for Morrow City Council?
Sure. Yeah, that's it's a great question. I grew up in Morrow. I've been here for the better part of 20 years. I went to Morrow Elementary, Morrow Middle, Morrow High School, and I saw a need on the current council, and I thought, who better to fill it than someone like me who grew up here. I believe in the community, and I think I can do a lot of good. So that's work that I want to do for a city that holds a special place in my heart.
I dig that. So would you say that did or does contribute to why you're running for council? Growing
Uh,
up, seeing the need, like you said.
Definitely, yeah. It's one of my biggest motivators. I know what I went through growing up here. I know, how school was, all of that, and I think that someone like me that has gone through these things already and kind of understands the landscape is one of the better parties that can, I think come in and make change where it needs to happen. And keep the good things going, right? Because not everything's bad. There are definitely tons of positive things about Morrow that I'm interested in just investing more in.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so let's get straight to it. Let's ask the question people are definitely going to ask you 1,000 times before election time. What makes you the right candidate?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. I think my background in law, my background in political science, my community involvement, specifically like election protection, civic engagement stuff through organizations like Galeo, leadership development work, stuff like that. I think I'm already invested in the community, and I think I've developed a skill set through both my education and my work that can bring a lot of good to the city. Another thing that I think is very important is I'm big on language access, right? So ensuring that all materials that come out of our local government are available in not just English, but Spanish and Vietnamese as well. I do speak Spanish, so I'm multilingual as a candidate, which I think uh, is good. When a community has a need that like your own parents have, right? You're very much invested in getting that work done. So
Yes. Which is actually how we came across each other,
yes,
with a situation that was going on tomorrow. But this is about Oscar right now. That's for another time, another day. So how can Morrow voters be sure that you will serve their best interests? I mean, we understand a lot of the times that uh, just because maybe one may look like them or
Right.
speak the language that they speak maybe not always serves them. So how can people be sure that you will serve them?
Sure. It's a great question. It's a good concern to have, right? One of the things that I think our campaign has done a really good job of is really listening to voters. We knocked during the first half of the campaign before we got into this runoff. We knocked on something like 1,700 doors, and that led to a bunch of amazing conversations with voters, with all voters, right? Members of every community. I believe, like, my team, my campaign team, and a lot of the people that support us, that the way forward is together, right? And just because the way forward is together doesn't mean, different groups don't have different issues that affect them more. That's something we understand. That's why when we go and speak to voters, we do our best to try to incorporate any issues they're having into our platform, right? Because we want to make sure everybody feels heard and everyone feels understood.
I love that part. I love that part. Okay, so why is your idea, you just touched on this, but I want you to dig a little bit deeper and going into
Mhm.
it. Why is your identity as a Latino man important for your run for office?
Definitely. So one of the things that I think, just for me personally, is very important is growing up, I didn't have access to a lot of role models in the Latino community that were doing the kinds of things that I'm doing now today, right? I didn't know any Latino attorneys. I didn't know many Latino politicians, right? So it's very important to me that I'm able to set an example for that little kid, right? The little kid that I was 20 years ago. It's very important for our community because there aren't too many Latino elected officials in Georgia, right? And adding to that number is powerful, and it really increases not just like obviously the Latin power here in the state, but it also increases Latino people's motivation to come out and vote, right? Because they're seeing someone like them that is taking this step, right? And aside from that, I'm Latino. My parents are Latino. I'm first generation. My parents came here from Honduras, when they were in their 30s, and this is the kind of thing that makes them exceedingly proud, right? So that's another thing that's very important for me.
You said Honduras, and that just really triggered a whole different side of me instead of politics. Because I'm like an avid cigar aficionado almost.
Uh,
So that right there just spoke to my soul. Like any cigar aficionados out there, boom, there you go. The background and all just gave it to you. But let's go ahead and jump further into it because I don't want to get you in trouble. I'm gonna keep you camping. I'm gonna keep you camping. How important is it to you to have a younger candidate running for office? Well, how important is it for you to have a younger candidate running for office, and how is it important for others in your community to have a younger candidate running for office?
yeah, another great question. So, a couple things here. And I'm sure this is something you've run into, Devonte, as well, with your involvement in the Young Democrats and these groups that have like kind of younger, politically motivated people in them. Younger folks have, political motivation, right? It's just an issue of engagement. A lot of younger voters don't vote. They're not like politically motivated in the way that's going to make change. So I think for a lot of younger folks, it's important to see someone around their age, similar age group, taking the leap and becoming a candidate and trying to make a change, trying to better their community. We see a lot of problems, especially in our current legislature, when it comes to difficulty understanding a lot of the new and emerging trends that affect people's lives here, right? So, technology, social issues, all these things that younger people are probably better equipped to speak on than members of the older generation, but we're not engaged politically in the same way that they are. So I think taking this step will help a lot of people like us, younger professionals, to kind of throw their hat in the arena and kind of make the change that we all want to see.
Mhm. And what I've what I've seen before is like this misconception that young people are just trying to get in office and kick out, all the older people. Is it also important for you to work together with people who have done it before and lean on people as like a mentor? That's fair to say.
Oh,
Mentors.
100%. When we started this process, we didn't know anything like about running, about politics, about kind of the landscape of the local government here in Morrow. It has been all kind of like older individuals that have guided us and helped us because they believe in our message, they believe in our the quality of change that we want to bring. Big shout out to Hector Gutierrez, a councilman out of Forest Park. He's been a big one.
That's my guy.
But yes, he's a winner. He's a winner. And no, to your point, Devontae, 100%. Like we need to be able to understand each other, younger and older generation, to not fall into the same pitfalls that they fell into, not make the same mistakes, and to build a better tomorrow. Right.
Mhm.
The path forward is together, and that means everyone.
Mhm. Okay. See, you already ready, man. You ready. You ready. You got Gutierrez in your corner. You got us in your corner. And speaking about having these, which I consider Hector phenomenal, and that's a huge backing within itself. We have also noticed you've been endorsed by a number of organizations. What are the organizations that have endorsed you, and why is it important to Morrow voters that you've been endorsed by them?
Sure, yeah. It's a big list. It's getting bigger. So it's right now we have the Galeo Impact Fund, we have Palante, we have Georgia Conservation Voters, we have the Asian American Advocacy Fund, and we have the Young Democrats of Clayton County that have endorsed our campaign. And all of these endorsements have been immensely valuable, not only through the kind of mentorship of the individuals that work at these organizations that have helped us develop kind of like campaign strategy. They've donated money to the cause, but these endorsements have led to important and valuable conversations with voters at their doors. Like I was saying earlier, we knocked on something like 1,700 doors, right? When we knock on the doors and people come out and chat with us, we get to tell them about these different organizations and how we align ideologically with them. And if it's an organization that a voter is invested in, they're very happy to hear that we're out there and we're making these partnerships. And that brings me to answering the second part of your question, right? Which is it's interesting, right? Because these partnerships kind of showcase our campaign's willingness and my willingness as a candidate to engage with these outside organizations that can use their resources to better the community here for the residents in Morrow. They've provided support to us on the language access issue, on various other issues that we've kind of tried to address here in the city. So it's also my understanding that other council members haven't kind of taken that leap to engage like these kinds of nonprofit and impact organizations. So I think that makes us unique, helps us do good.
Hmm. And what it tells me from just my tiny bit of experience is that you are willing to allow outside resources to help your community. And I think sometimes in certain communities, people get caught up in the whole it's just us. But
Right.
you seem more of like, no, if you can help my people and not just, speaking of my people as like Latinos or Latinas or Latinx, but
Mhm.
like Black, Vietnamese, which is a large portion of Morrow. Morrow is a very
Yes.
diverse area. So what is, in your opinion, the most pressing issue in Morrow outside of the ballot issue?
Sure. Yeah. One of the biggest things I think is a problem in Morrow is it's a lack of kind of transparency. So you spoke on the ballot issue, which since we started that fight, the council has passed a resolution to introduce multilingual ballots in 2025, right? But there has been no real discussion as to kind of the more overarching issue there, which is kind of like you say, Morrow's diverse. We're something like 33% Asian American, predominantly that percentage is Vietnamese. We're 22% Hispanic Latino, a big portion of that Spanish speaking. And the ballots, it's a good first step. But what we really need is anything that comes out of the local government, anything that is sent to people. This needs to be in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese, right? Because you have an issue with transparency and equity when all the members of your community can't know what's going on, right? That's and what a lot of people I think in the community also don't realize is Mara has something like 3,000 something 3,035 3,335 registered voters, and only like 700 people vote in municipal elections, right? So we have an engagement issue as well. I wonder why we have an engagement issue. Maybe because people don't understand what's happening, right? So it's a form of voter suppression, if you
Mhm.
ask me. And another thing I think that we face is a lack of like quality economic opportunities for a lot of our residents, right? Because of where we are in such close proximity to the city, our realistically speaking, our median income should be higher, and it's the fact that it's not tells me that there's more work that needs to be done. We need to bring higher quality opportunities here to the city. And as to what that might look like, our campaign is trying to tackle that in a few different ways. One of the pillars of our campaign is economic growth, right? Mara is doing pretty good economically, but that's mostly because of minority-owned businesses that are open here. So what we want to do is we want to double down on that and provide kind of opportunities to residents here, any resident that wants to potentially go down the path of opening their own business here. We want to see that. We want more people that live here to be invested in the community.
Love that, love that. And for the people outside of the Morrow area who really don't understand, because I think a lot of people really don't get how much of a language barrier there is, and
Right.
for a community that is well over, um, the accurate way to say it is majority of the people that are funding the economy in Morrow
Yeah.
do have the right to know what's going on. But even staying in that one council meeting that I met you at, that I didn't even realize how many people really, don't speak English. And the backside of that is, my own personal thing is I think it's very backhanded to say, if you're in America, speak American, which is a whole different topic. But going into campaigning and funding, I've asked a few candidates this, but I want to ask you the importance of money in campaigning, because I think a lot of people don't understand, or they think, why is this person asking me for money? Why are they asking me for donations?
Mhm.
Why do you ask for donations? And why is money important for a campaign?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Just speaking honestly, I haven't been doing this for too long. I haven't been a candidate too long, but it still feels, just because of the way I was raised, I'm sure a lot of people feel this sentiment, but it feels a little icky, right? Asking people for money. And the truth of it is we need it. Just anything we do, whether it's asking people to come out and volunteer to knock on doors for us, we need to feed them. We need to make sure they have snacks. We need to make sure they have water. If they're coming from far away, we try to give them a gas card, right? Because yeah, they're volunteering their time, but we don't want them to lose money for coming out and supporting us. And that's the volunteers, right? Next, we get into like people that we actually hire, like paid canvassers. We try to pay a fair wage. We try to pay, at least $15 an hour. Of course, provide snacks, provide water. Anytime you see like a yard sign out, the lowest we can pay for a yard sign is like $9 a sign, right? For a double-sided sign. If it's a rush sign, it's closer to that $12 mark, and we have to order hundreds of signs. Our brochures, our campaign materials, they're a little more complex than most candidates' campaign materials because of some of the issues we've discussed, like the language access, right? We can't be hypocrites and say that everything the local government produces should be in all these languages and then not do it ourselves. So we have full
Mhm,
spreads in three languages. Sometimes we have to hire translators for the more like complex languages, like the English to Vietnamese. Sometimes the nuance there is challenging.
mhm,
Sending out mailers, that's another one. A lot of the residents that vote in Morrow are older, so they don't follow like social media.
mhm,
Sometimes we can't catch them at their door. So for them to know about us, for them to know that we're out here, we need to send them a piece of mail. So they grab it and then it's in their house and that, they're aware. Pretty much the donations, they're the lifeblood of the campaign, right? Because at the end of the day, no matter how wealthy or not wealthy the candidate is, the donations are always gonna dictate the force at which you can come out, right? The force at which you can run the campaign, how strong your campaign is. So it's just necessary. It feels icky, like I said, but we got to do it, and we appreciate all our donors. Thank you.
yes. Trust me, I mean, I haven't ran, but I didn't really understand it until I was actually like canvassing people and understanding like, oh yeah, we do have to eat while we're out here. Like we do need some Gatorade. So with all that being
Yes.
said, quick little pause right here at the bottom. You see learn more at Oscar at www.oscarformorrow.com. Everybody who will be listening to this on Spotify, please make sure you follow Oscar at Oscar for Morrow. That's OscarForMorrow on Instagram. But please hit the website www.oscarformorrow.com. If you cannot invest your time, please donate to the campaign. The campaign funding helps everything feed the machine. This is a very bright, bright, bright young brother we have. Bright, bright. I will say it again, bright. So please go ahead, hit that website and hit that follow on there. Now, sorry, we're not fancy enough yet. We don't have like real commercial drops. So I just got to like do the little commercial drops and all that.
You killed it. You killed it.
I want to also open the floor for anybody who may be viewing this live. Go ahead. If you have any questions for Oscar, we see your comments coming in. Please drop them. Please ask. But Oscar, I want to get into another portion of something really quickly. Here's JD, man. So you are an educated, very educated person for anybody that thinks like, who's this young man just coming up running for? So you are educated.
I mean, I consider myself to be, yes,
The humility, the
yes.
humility. I got a JD. I mean, it's light.
It's interesting, right? It's one of those things where when I went to undergrad at Georgia State, and
Mhm,
I got my degree in political science. And at first, just being honest, like one of the reasons I decided to take the plunge and pursue the JD was because the kinds of opportunities that undergraduate degree in political science afforded me weren't necessarily of the quality that I wanted, right? But once I started the law program, I started seeing the amount of good that obtaining that degree would allow me to do, and then it became a no-brainer, right? Just kept my head down those 3 years, and came out with the JD from Emory. At the time, Emory is the best law school in Georgia, and I never really planned on leaving Georgia, so it seemed like an awesome fit. I learned a lot, and specifically at Emory, they afford a lot of opportunities in specifically like related to technology and law, which kind of fueled the path towards my current position here today, which I love very much. Before this, I did immigration law for 2 years. That was fun. That was entertaining. It let me do a lot of good in the community with a lot of the immigrants that come here from other countries. We were able to provide a lot of like affordable services for them. But one of the other things that getting that degree kind of allowed me to realize is that a lot of minorities here in our country need to pursue this path, right? Because it gives us the kind of access that we need to get into where we need to get into the rooms, the jobs, the elected positions, the boardrooms, right, that we need to get into to make the kinds of changes that we need to make. So now that I've reached this point, I and through my leadership work, I do a lot to like try to help pull people up to get where I am because I again, and the path forward is together. We need more of us to be able to break these doors down. So if anyone ever has any questions about law school, my alma mater, specifically Emory or any other law schools, please reach out. I'm always happy to help people start that path and finish out that path.
Yeah, and Oscar is a very, very humble, gracious young man. So I'm gonna say it for him. You want free law advice? Go ahead and drop that donation to www.oscarformorrow.com. You know what I mean? I don't even know if you can legally say. I should probably ask my fiance if I can legally say that. But before I wrap up with you, man, I know you're a busy man. It got a lot going on. I do want to know the reason why I brought up the JD, the reason why I brought up the schooling is that tells me that you finish and you finish strong, especially with a JD. That tells me you finish no matter how hard things get. Being in this political arena, I've understood how hard and how deep you have to dig in a runoff. Without exposing too much of the game plan, what is your game plan to hit that finish line on December 5th?
Definitely. It's a good question. I so don't want to give too much away, right?
Mhm.
But
Keep it tucked.
the day we found out that we would be heading into a runoff, when the unofficial results were coming in, we immediately started strategizing as to how we could overcome the hump, right? Because the incumbent, he got 46% of the vote. Our campaign, we got almost 30% of the vote, and the third candidate, she got 24% of the vote. Now, if you just do some simple addition, you add these percentages. If all the same people come out and vote again, that's potentially 54% of the vote for a candidate that is not the incumbent. And as soon as we realize this, we go, what can we do to get these other voters that have voted for this third candidate to vote for us? So the next day, this is kind of a cool story. We pull up. We pull up to the third candidate's house, right? So when you qualify, you have to put down an address. We go to the address the day after, give her 24 hours to kind of settle, lick her wounds, whatever it might be. And then we go and we have a chat and we're like, hey, where's your head at? What are you thinking? We always believe that we need to be civil to each other because we're all neighbors. It's a local election. She
Mhm.
believes in the community in the same way that we do. She ran for a lot of the same reasons that we ran for, to unseat the incumbent, right? So it was an easy sell, honestly. She was very much willing already to endorse us, and then she gave her endorsement. Her name's Tracy Talbert. So now her voters will likely vote for us as well for us to get to that 54%. But it's a question of getting those same voters out there, right? So we're going to send out mailers. We're going to knock on all those same 1,700 doors again, just to make sure people know that they need to come out and they need to show their support again for the change that they voted for just a few days ago.
Mm. Now that definitely sounded like something that I would do. So right there alone, he said you got to show an address, so we just went to go talk to her. That's- that is hilarious to me. You just say, "Hey, found you. All right, all right." I feel like I've taken enough of your time, but before I let you go, I want to give you a quick second on the platform to just get across anything that you need to get across, whether you need to translate it by any means, whatever. I just want to give you about 60 seconds to get the last final thoughts off or any reason why people need to come out support you in this runoff on December 5th.
Okay. Thank you, Devante. Big thanks to you and Young Dems for having me on. As to how people can support, check out oscarformaro.com. Look at her story. We have a video on there of the first council meeting that I attended and I made comments at. And I think it captures the kind of person that I am, why I'm running, how invested I am in my community. If this interview hasn't kind of showcased that enough, but we have a phone number on the website. We have our email. If you have any questions, I answer them all personally. I would love to chat with you. Please support us by volunteering. You can find that volunteer link at oscarformaro.com. Please donate. Still feel icky asking for the donations, but we need them very much, especially going into this runoff. It's a short time, short turnaround, so please consider. You can find the donate link on the website. You can also type in bit.ly/Oscar Fermaro. That'll take you directly to our Act Blue page. If you check out our socials, we have a price breakdown on how we spend every dollar that comes in, so we're pretty transparent in that regard. And then like to give the same message in Spanish here. Hola, gracias a todos por su tiempo. Mi nombre es Oscar Menjivar. Yo soy un candidato aquí en la ciudad de Morrow para la oficina de concejal. Si nosotros ganamos esta elección, sería yo el primer latino en la historia de la ciudad para ganar una posición así. Puede encontrar más información sobre yo y nuestra campaña en oscarformorrow.com. Ahí puede dar su tiempo como voluntario para venir y tocar puertas con nosotros. Y también puede encontrar el enlace para dar donaciones a nuestra campaña. Cualquier dólar que usted pueda dar nos puede ayudar aquí en la ciudad para hacer historia. Gracias.
Boy, that was fine. That was
Thank you.
I understood a portion of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and translate for people too, man. Oscar for Morrow, hit the website, hit the donation link, please. And if you can't donate, please sign up on the website to volunteer as much time as you can. Also, here on the platform of the Young Democrats of Georgia Black Caucus, we believe in building and sustaining the bridge between the Latino community and the Black community. And this right here, we just want to show that we support each other, we have each other's back, and we need to get Oscar elected on December 5th. So you can also go ahead and share this link. The video will be loaded on YouTube, and the podcast will be loaded tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. at the Young Democrats of Georgia Black Caucus. And please just share it around because you have no idea who may listen to something and be like, hey, I don't know him, but he sounds cool. Boom. Hey, thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm gonna see you on the campaign trail. Don't worry about that. You're gonna see me.
Thank you, Devante. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure and a privilege.
No problem. All right, brother, man. Until next time, catch y'all. Y'all keep it real and yeah, just peace.
Peace.